Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Slash Filmcast, the official podcast of SlashFilm.com. I'm David Chen, and with me is
Devindra Hardwar
and Jeff Canada.
Joining us today, he is a staff writer for SlashFilm.com. Jermaine Lucier, welcome back to the Slash Filmcast. How are you doing today, Jermaine?
I am very good, gentlemen. Glad to be here.
We are glad you are here as well. If you're just tuning in to this podcast for the first time, you should know we typically begin by discussing what we've been watching, move on into a dissection of the week's film news, and then conclude with an in-depth review. This week, we'll be reviewing How to Train Your Dragon 2. If you would like to find more episodes of our podcast, slashfilmcast.com is where you can do that. You can also email us at slashfilmcast@gmail.com or call and leave a voicemail at 781-583-1993. So let's talk about what we've been watching this week. This week, I had the opportunity to watch. I saw a ton of films at the Seattle International Film Festival this year. I was very happy to be able to do that. And Jermaine, I might need your help on some of these because I think you might have seen some of these at Sundance this year. So
yeah,
you saw them at Sundance, and then they showed up at the Seattle International Film Festival. But I saw three movies. Well, I saw more than three, but the three I want to just mention real quickly are Frank, The Babadook, and The One I Love. These three movies, I love them all very much.
I've heard great things about The Babadook.
Yeah. Out of those three, I only saw one of them because it's impossible to see everything at Sundance.
Right.
But I heard great things about The Babadook and The One I Love, and I saw Frank and did not like Frank. But we can.
Wow.
Yeah.
I really liked Frank. This movie stars Michael Fassbender as an eccentric musician who wears a papier-mâché head at all times. And I'm not going to reveal whether he wears a papier-mâché head for the whole thing or whether there's parts of it where he's not wearing the papier-mâché head or whatever. I'll just say that you meet him, he's wearing the papier-mâché head, he's wearing it all the time. And I thought that was a really bold move for...
Is there anything this man can't do?
Yeah, he acts for at least the majority of the movie in a papier-mâché head, which is not something that people typically do because actors like to be able to show their faces. Jeff, I'm sure you can relate to this.
I can. I just want to hear you say papier-mâché head 6 more times.
I think
Jeff's next movie is called Papier-Mâché Head, so this is good.
Yeah, this is a good prelude to it. And I thought this movie is quite enjoyable. It was quirky. Michael Fassbender's performance is excellent, and it's it's very touching. You know, the way these characters relate with this guy who clearly has a lot of eccentricities and a lot of idiosyncrasies that they have to deal with. But Jermaine, you didn't like this film. Why is that?
Yeah, it's tough. I saw it 6 months ago at this point. I know Russ reviewed for the site and really liked it. What I do remember is that I agree it was very quirky, and I kind of like that thing, but a lot of times movies I feel can be quirky for the sake of being quirky, and it never ever came together with a cohesive theme that really made it all worthwhile for me. I walked out of it very cold, very confused, and I enjoyed parts of it. I mean, Domhnall Gleeson's in it, who now is going to get a big bump from Star Wars and stuff like that. And he's very good, and I love the ideas of it. You're right about Fassbender, but yeah, I don't know. It was too quirky for me, and it didn't bring it home. And to me, that's a fail.
I can totally understand why people might have that reaction. Still, I enjoyed the film, and it's going to be out in theaters in limited release, I would imagine, very soon. I think it was already supposed to be out in limited release, but I didn't see it anywhere playing near me. But you should be able to see it either in theaters or on home video sometime this year. The movie is Frank. I saw a movie called The One I Loved. You did not see that either, right?
No, I didn't see The Babadook or The One I Love, but this one is one I'm really excited to see just because I've heard nothing but avoid all spoilers on this one, and I love when somebody says that to me. Okay,
this is a movie directed by Charlie McDowell, and it is staggeringly good. For an initial feature, I will read from the plot summary of IMDb. It does not give away anything. Struggling with a marriage on the brink of falling apart. A couple escapes for a weekend in pursuit of their better selves, only to discover an unusual dilemma that awaits them. And this is a really, really effective movie that takes place. It's kind of like almost a bottle movie. It takes place in a very confined area, and the leads are Mark Duplass and Elizabeth Moss. And I think there's only a few speaking roles in the entire film. But they deliver amazing performances in this movie, and the director does some really creative stuff with a very limited budget and limited resources. I'm not going to give anything away because, like you said, you don't want me to say any spoilers, so I can't go into why it's so awesome. without saying anything more, but I'll just say it's worth checking out. The One I Love. It's I don't know if it's going to be out in theaters later this year, but you'll definitely be able to see it at some point on video on demand. And finally,
it definitely got picked up. It'll be out this year.
Yeah, it'll be out this year. And so I'd recommend it if you have a chance. The One I Love. And finally, I saw a movie called The Babadook, which is an Australian horror movie by Jennifer Kent. And you did see this one? No.
No, I missed this one too.
You missed this one too. Sorry, I got confused. So this is directed by Jennifer Kent, who has basically not ever directed a film, and it is an extraordinary horror film. I mean, Devindra, I know you were a huge fan of The Conjuring. This is a movie that combines, from my opinion, the best of The Conjuring and Requiem for a Dream. In the sense that...
That's an interesting combination.
It has... Essie Davis is the main actor in the film, and she plays a mother who slowly loses her sanity throughout the course of the film because of her son is kind of misbehaving, and she's a single mother and just trying to get by, and living in this house where there may or may not be something terrifying them and causing, horrific things to happen.
Is it a papier-mâché head?
No papier-mâché heads, although there is a pop-up picture book in the film that is probably one of the scariest things I've ever seen in my life.
Played by Michael Fassbender. Yeah,
yeah exactly. But The Babadook, it's I would say it's probably going to be my top 5 of 2014 so far.
Nice.
Such an interesting title because it does not conjure horror movie to me. It conjures comedy, right?
It doesn't. Yeah, but the Babadook is like a character in this kind of children's book that makes an appearance in the film. So that's why.
That's actually what I think about. It's like it's a kid story that sounds terrifying.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. It is really, really scary, and
nice.
I just it's mind blowing to me. Like The One I Love and The Babadook. These are both movies made by first-time directors, and they are just so ridiculously good. They're better than films by people who have been directing movies for a very long time. And so I would definitely if you have a chance to check them out, please do so. The Babadook and The One I Love, those are the movies I've been watching at the Seattle International Film Festival. Devindra Hardawar, what have you been watching?
I actually saw an older film this week. The Brooklyn Academy of Music is playing a whole bunch of old kung fu movies, so I made it out to check out The Blade by Choi Huck. Have you guys seen this movie? This is a 1995 film. No. It's great. It's fantastic. I remember watching it way back in the day, like on a crappy VHS or something. So it was just great to see it in a theater. And there are plenty of I guess, one-armed swordsman martial arts movies, but this one definitely has some really interesting elements, some great action scenes, just a really interesting structure too. It's about 2 friends who work at a sword-making factory. Crap goes down. One of them loses their arm. They come back for revenge. It gets kind of crazy because it's like, what do you do? What do you do when you have one arm and you're trying to beat a whole team of assassins? What you do is you add a chain to that sword and make this crazy whipping sword that it's insane. It's awesome. One of the coolest ideas, in the martial arts weapons I can think of in a martial arts film. So great film. I seem to remember Quentin Tarantino talking a lot about this one. Probably influenced him a little for Kill Bill.
Very difficult to find this movie.
Yes.
I only see a Region 2 DVD that you can buy from buy used. So it looks like it's very hard to find.
And it sounds like Gogo Yubari, like you said, influence, right? It's a little bit. Yeah.
A little bit.
Wait, scratch that. It looks like an entire copy of this film is available on YouTube right now.
Well, it is the internet, Yeah. But it was interesting watching this too because it reminded me of when Choi Huck made good movies. I guess it's been a while, guys, but it's funny after the double whammy of Double Team and Knockoff. He went back to China.
Hold on. I mean, that's spoken like someone who hasn't seen Detective D and those movies.
Actually, I have not seen. I hear they're really good.
They're really good. So he has made good movies recently.
But you haven't seen either, Dave.
I haven't seen them either. I've heard great. I've had the Blu-ray. I just haven't had a chance to watch them.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, Tsui Hark, he's a very well-known Asian director who made a lot of great films, many martial arts films.
Once Upon a Time in China.
Once Upon a Time in China, legendary Asian director, and so
Time and Tide, which I think Time and Tide, we've talked about this before, but that was one of the movies that made Dave and I friends, I think.
Yeah, so he has a special place in our hearts.
For sure.
So that movie's The Blade, and apparently you can find the entire thing on YouTube, so check that out.
You can find it on YouTube. I'm just looking at the description of Knockoff here. I've never seen Knockoff, but
Have any of
apparently
you seen Knockoff, the Jean-Claude Van Damme?
He plays a fashion designer who must join forces with the CIA? What? Okay. I gotta find this movie now.
It's like Zoolander meets Double Impact.
I need to see this movie.
Incidentally, Knockoff also available in its entirety on YouTube. So
the movies nobody ever wants to
make sure to check that out as well. So that's The Blade. What else have you been watching, Devindra?
I also saw I started watching Orange is the New Black, which was released on Netflix a week ago. This is the second season of the show, and I'm about 10 episodes in right now. I think it's 13 episodes or so in total. It is fantastic. It just feels so I guess with every episode, the show kind of amazes me in a different way. And I think overall, the most interesting thing is that we don't see things like this, stories like that this show is trying to tell, stories about women, stories about people of all sorts of ethnicities, stories of dealing with sexuality in really interesting ways, which we saw a lot of in the first season as well. If this was on a normal TV network, I'd be terrified of the show getting canceled. And it's kind of interesting, isn't it, to just sit back and be like, oh, well, it's getting so much good publicity for Netflix. Do they even care about ratings? What is their metric for determining how they keep a show on?
It's not clear. And that's actually become an issue for the talent in the shows,
right?
Because they never release ratings. So if you're part of a hit TV show and you want to renew your contract, this show is getting 50 million viewers. I'm going to demand $500,000 an episode. They don't release those metrics at all, and they're very opaque about it. So
they arguably have better metrics than any
than any TV show, any TV station. But there's no. They have concluded, and it makes complete sense. There's absolutely no competitive advantage to releasing those metrics.
And they can decide how much of a hit a show is. It's basically what they say it is.
Exactly.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, so it's just really interesting to me. I've been thinking about that as well. But the show itself is just fantastic. I feel like if we're talking about the future of television, the future of media, or whatever, something produced like this, not outside of any of the big TV networks or any of the big networks in general, even outside of cable station networks and stuff, this feels just so fresh and so original and so interesting. And I love how the show just keeps getting better and better. It's taking almost a Lost approach where it's continuing to flash back to individual prisoners and kind of giving us their backstory, some of which are just kind of shocking, shockingly so interesting that it forces you to go back to season one and just kind of evaluate everything going on with that character. So just incredibly well written. I love this cast, just fantastic stuff. And I hope they can keep this up. It's great. And I wish the series was getting as much praise as House of Cards was, but I'm not going to talk more about how much I didn't care for the last season of House of Cards. This is the season Netflix should really be promoting, but it doesn't star, Kevin Spacey, so it's kind of tough for them to do it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you, Devindra. I was a huge fan of the first season of Orange is the New Black as well, and I'm only about 3 episodes into this season, but I'm already really digging it. I think that they start the show in a really bold way, especially with the kind of cliffhangery way the first season ended. I really thought that was a fun, daring way to start. Especially the first 2 episodes are kind of partner episodes of everything that's happened while you were away, And I really dig the show. It's really wonderful. I think the casting director on that show needs an award. I don't know how
for
they
some
find
of the younger
these women.
versions. Yeah.
How do they find these women? They're such unique, interesting, different kinds of looks for women that you just don't. You don't imagine.
Or a better question, Jeff Kanata, is why aren't other casting directors finding more of these types of people for use in our regular TV shows?
Yeah, well, because it's hard to write those stories, or those series don't get greenlit by studios, or by networks.
That latter reason is probably the better explanation.
Yeah,
and Devindra, I'm glad you brought up Lost, because one of the things I tweeted out earlier this week or last week, whatever it was, is it occurs to me that Orange is the New Black is the show that the Lost creators thought they were writing without all the pretense. Like they all along kept telling us this is a show about characters, and all we really care the sci-fi context is only a prism through which to view character. Meanwhile, all of us viewers, or at least me in particular, were sitting there going, no, we sort of care about the sci-fi stuff. And I found especially the way that the series resolved itself to be very dissatisfying, just because they kept thinking they were making the show about these characters.
Right.
And I wanted a satisfying science fiction conclusion, but Orange is the New Black doesn't have that problem. They are literally in this purgatory, this island, this strange place where characters from disparate parts of life are mashed together and have to reconcile their differences and have to learn to survive in an oppressive environment. I mean, they're doing what Lost thought they were doing, but doing it without the pretense and without the frustrating,
I feel like
sci-fi premise.
Lost didn't quite, like, they were saying it was really about the characters, but that was only because the ideas, the solutions for a lot of the sci-fi mysteries were slipping out of their hands and they just couldn't control it. So, saying it was about the characters was a nice way to save face, I guess. So a lot has been written about this series, but I did want to point people to a great article at the Indian AV Club called Orange is the New Hill Street Blues, just kind of looking at how the show is sort of like the next generation of those great 80s shows that were about workplaces and the kind of small stories that happen within those. Just great stuff, and a really interesting way of looking at the show as well. It just kind of shows you why this show is just so different from most other things on TV right now.
I would highly recommend it. I've seen the first episode, enjoyed it. Looking forward to the rest of the season as well. So that's Orange is the New Black. It's on Netflix right now. Anything else, Devindra?
Yeah, quickly. Well, actually, one thing I didn't write down on our little list here, but I did get to see This American Life live a couple weeks ago, and that is an experience. That was fantastic. I managed to, I was very lucky, and I managed to get like front row tickets, so we could feel the Ira Glass. It was just an aura.
Your face was pressed up against the glass, is what you're saying.
Oh,
I could feel his breath.
I like that.
Neck.
That's nicely done, Jeff.
Yes. It was great. That episode's probably going to be released later this month, I think, on the radio. But there's some crazy stuff they started doing, and it's just a great thing to see. They did this one thing they did. It was kind of opera themed, and they did opera reimaginings of several of their stories, including like a Broadway musical reworking of one of their more interesting stories. So that video is going to be up soon. It was just crazy cool. Like it's strange to be in a room and watch, Ira Glass pretend to be a person in a cat suit, like a giant cat suit, just walking around, and also still be Ira Glass. So just fun stuff. And I guess one other thing I want to talk about briefly is Watch Dogs, the new game that came out a couple of weeks ago. I guess I didn't have a chance to talk about this on the show yet, but it's been one of the things I've been spending most of my time with. And it's kind of a reminder to me, I guess as somebody who loves movies and loves TV, of how like crummy game storytelling can be sometimes. Like it is jarring to go from something like Orange is the New Black, which is like taking us to new levels and heights of storytelling, and then go to Watch Dogs and be forced to like deal with shitty dialogue and dumb stories and characters who don't make any sense. And it's a shame too, because this is a game I was looking forward to for a while now. There was that trailer at E3, I think 2 years ago, showing off like what this game would look like, and it looked incredible. And unfortunately, the final game doesn't look anywhere nearly as good, which is a shame. And it's just so formulaic. I wish it was better written. I do like playing in that world, but it's a reminder to me of like why I like good stories and why I watch movies and TV, and how much I wish games would kind of grow up and get to that point too.
Yeah. Well, I spent all week in that world.
Yeah, Jeff, you not only sound like crap, you have nothing written down for your what we've been watching this week. What is up with that?
I ran myself a little ragged this week. I have a little bit of a cold. The confluenza or the conman cold. Whatever everybody calls it, something different. Con crud. Yeah. Consars, it's inevitable that you shake hands with enough people and you end up like this. But so I spent my week doing that. We did.
Wait, so what did you do exactly, Jeff?
Well, I covered the E3 Expo here in Los Angeles, and I had daily episodes of my video game show DLC on the 5x5 network. and saw all that stuff. And it's interesting, Devindra, you bring this up. And at the end of this year, one of the big games of this show for 2014 is the new Call of Duty, which features Kevin Spacey in a very prominent role. So it's going to be interesting to see, if he just took a paycheck, or if they really are focusing on some interesting story in that game, and if his acting chops brings anything to the table there.
Hopefully, he delivers a completely non-hammy performance like he does in House of Cards, right? Right, guys?
That digital Kevin Spacey looks terrifying. Like the character he's voicing actually looks like Kevin Spacey, which is you don't do that much when you're voice acting,
Right. Yeah, no, it's definitely jarring going from the announcement trailer with him in it came out the same week I was finishing up House of Cards, and so it was fresh in my mind, and to see like Deadeye, Uncanny Valley, Kevin Spacey looking back at me, I was like, oh boy, we have a ways to go yet.
House of Cards, yeah.
So it sounds like you did not enjoy Watch Dogs. Sorry to hear. And Jeff didn't enjoy anything this week because he's really sick right now.
I enjoyed it all. It just had its revenge upon me.
You're feeling the pain.
Jermaine Lucier, what have you been watching?
I saw a couple things. Two I want to talk about. Literally 3 hours ago, I walked out of Richard Linklater's Boyhood, which finally hits theaters on July 11th in limited release. And I didn't get to see his Sundance because I got to interview Steve James about Life Itself, another great movie that comes out in a couple of weeks. But I was so floored by Boyhood. And that's like the most cliched response at this point because everybody was floored by Boyhood.
Yeah, but, Peter Soretta called it a remarkable cinematic achievement.
It's unreal. I mean, it really is. I mean, that's not even like a critical response. That's just a literal fact. I mean, for people who might not know, real quick, Richard Linklater shot the story of a boy growing up from 1st grade to 12th grade. Every year for 12 years, he would shoot a couple days with the same actors and the same crew as much as they could. And the result is this 2-hour, 45-minute like breath of fresh air that is just I cried so much in this movie just because you spend a lot of time, you've watched movies that are that long before, but you've never literally seen a kid grow up like that, and you just feel so attached to these characters, and it's so incredible. I can't recommend it enough. I'm still sort of thinking about it and processing it and coming up with things to say about it, but it comes out in a couple weeks, and again, can't recommend it highly enough.
I've decided the only way I can one-up Richard Linklater is by shooting a film with my own child. But
David Chen's home movies.
Exactly.
It's like, Linklater, was always a great filmmaker, independent filmmaker. He made a couple Hollywood hits. But now his thing, it's not his, I don't think it even became like that. It just sort of happened is his thing now is like using the same actors over time. He does it with, Sunrise, Sunset, and Midnight. And now he does it with this. And it's great to see the discussion of like time versus filmmaking is really interesting. It's something I think we're going to be talking about a lot because of his films. And it was funny, like there's like a Harry Potter moment in this movie because it takes place from like 2002 to 2014. And so like the kids are young and they're into Harry Potter and there's a little thing in there. And it was interesting that the Harry Potter is the only thing we have close where it was the filmmakers, the producers, got to make 8 movies with the same actors, all save for Richard Harris, who passed away. And Boyhood is almost like that in a 3-hour movie. There's no magic or anything, but like it's really a staggering cinematic achievement. Is an understatement. It's fantastic.
Well, if you can forgive the direction that I'm about to take this in.
Oh man!
Thanks for the vote of confidence, Dave. I read a paper and saw a piece a long time ago when I was in acting school about Shakespeare and about drama, and the position of this paper was that all drama is struggling with only one concept, and that concept is time, and that there is no other thing that drama is about when you break it down to its component parts, that we as human beings, our existential problem is trying to reconcile the passing of time. And it's interesting that technology, and in this case filmmaking, can be leveraged to dramatize that in a whole new way, and in a way that is relatable more so than any other time in our human history. You can see time passing in a way that you can't with any other medium, and I think that's really powerful.
Oh, absolutely, and see time passing now forever. Like, so this movie takes place in these years, and it's really a time capsule of this time. In 20 years, I'll be able to show my kids or whatever this movie and be like, this is not only your childhood, it's the childhood of that time. Like, they play Wii. They talk about Star Wars Episode 3. They talk about The Dark Knight. It's like a cultural time capsule. It's not what it's about, but it's just sort of on the underpinning, which is pop culture in general. So yeah, that is really interesting, and this movie, it does it very well.
And it works on multiple levels, right? Because the narrative, the film itself is about the passage of time, but on a meta level, it required an investment of time from the filmmaker in order to tell it. So it's sort of representing this grander investment also. It's working on another level because you recognize the intent and the work that was required to put into it. It lands on you in a way that other movies can't.
Absolutely, 100% agree. Yeah, and you think about like the casting. He didn't know when he cast this kid at 6 years old what he was going to be at 18.
Right.
Right.
So the movie sort of like the kid sort of indirectly wrote the movie.
He just was constantly calling the kid, going, "Hey kid, don't do drugs, stay in school, be a good guy."
The thing is that
All
if
right.
he had
See you
done
next
that
year.
stuff, I think he said Linklater was there afterwards, and he had said like if the kid had decided to like lift weights and become a wrestler, that's what the movie would have been about.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what happens. He's sort of artsy, and Linklater cast him, banking on that.
Spoiler, man.
Spoilers!
He could have like accidentally picked Justin Bieber, and then he's like,
Oh my god! But then you would have had a really awesome movie.
This never happens in real life.
All right. Anyway,
I'm really looking forward to this one, Jermaine. But I have to say, I guess I'll have to do it like this. I'm gonna let you finish, but Truffaut's Antoine Doinel Adventures is the greatest, cinematic time warp of all time.
Nice.
Well,
That spanned 20 years.
In your face, Jermaine.
oh shit!
In your face.
But I do
Don't tell
want to
on me.
see Boyhood and see it happen in a single.
I would
film.
also put the Up series in that.
Yes, the
conversation
Up
as
series.
well.
The
But that was
difference
that was more documentary. So that was more like
exactly.
yeah.
Linklater straight up said he goes, documentaries didn't play into this. No, you're all right. You drug Truffaut on me. I didn't say it was the greatest of all time. I said this is really interesting. It's something new for this generation. But yes, okay.
The only other sort of things that are comparable where you watch people grow up, obviously a lot of TV shows do that, where they cast child actors and you're with them for a long period of time.
But most of them don't even comment on that. They try to prevent you noticing as long as possible.
they try to Bart Simpson.
Exactly.
But I was going to mention Kiernan Shipka from Mad Men, who plays Don Draper's daughter, Sally. She just does an extraordinary job, and you kind of have seen her grown up throughout the course of the series. Ditto, to some degree, not as much. Louis's daughter on the shows on the FX show Louis. He's obviously used multiple actresses to play that role, but for the last few years, it's been the same one. So those are a couple of other examples where you see people grow up.
Sopranos.
And The Sopranos, great one. So,
and then I watched one other thing that I found interesting is this week is the LA Film Festival, and living in LA, the LA Film Festival kind of feels like extraneous because I'm not traveling somewhere, so it's almost like I shouldn't go because it's just down the block. But I do try to catch a couple movies, and one I got to see and I'll be reviewing it on the site this week, is a movie called Comet. It's written and directed by a first-timer, Dave, like you were talking about the films that you saw. His name is Sam Esmail, Esmail. And it's a sort of romantic drama starring Justin Long and Emmy Rossum. And it reminded me sort of an existential, surrealist version of 500 Days of Summer, where you watch a relationship in random snippets of all different times, and it sort of makes a bigger commentary on the relationship. The difference being 500 Days of Summer does it sort of a comic relief and at times, and you also know where the whole thing is going. And this you don't. It sort of plays with the fact that it's sort of told in 5 different steps in this relationship. You don't know where each one takes place, and it's really well written. The characters talk about. It's almost like Aaron Sorkin meets like Aaron Sorkin's cadence with Kevin Smith's sort of pop culture reverence, but not as prevalent. And also, the performances are unbelievable. Like especially Emmy Rossum, who I don't watch Shameless, so I don't know. I
She's
sort
so
of
good
know.
in Shameless. Yeah.
I've heard great things, but in this movie, she's obviously a very beautiful woman, but she's so like grounded, but also like quirky and weird at the same time. It's really hard to describe, and I'm having very and she's just really good in it, and so you understand why he falls in love with her, and so it starts like with them meeting, and then it just jumps through these 5 things, and I describe it. The only way to describe it as like if you were watching your relationship on 5 different channels and flipping the channel every like 15 minutes because it got really uncomfortable, and then it jumps to something else, and then like as you were flipping, it would like sort of become a bigger thing. And
Sounds a lot like Blue Valentine, actually.
it's a little like Blue Valentine. It's less serious than that.
Yeah.
It doesn't get as dark as that. It gets a little dark.
A Blue Valentine, version that doesn't crush your soul. And
Yes, exactly.
Believe in love for all time.
Yeah, it's sort of. I mean, if you want to be super broad about it, it's Blue Valentine, I guess, meets 500 Days of Summer.
Uh-huh.
And so it's
2 movies that are complete opposites of each other.
well, this is
They're
sort of
both
true.
about heartbreak, I guess.
If you look in the middle, if you look at the structure of 500 Days of Summer and sort of that dialogue with the sort of performances and grounded reality of the romance and Blue Valentine, you sort of have Comet. And it doesn't have distribution yet, but I think with those stars and the quality of the film, I'm pretty sure we'll probably see it get picked up and maybe get some sort of limited release in early 2015. And keep an eye on it because it is really, really good. And I was very, very happy that I went and checked it out.
The movie is Comet. It was written and directed by Sam Esmail. So that's all we've been watching this week. Let's get on into film news. This week we saw a few things happen. Firstly, the trailer for Dumb and Dumber 2 premiered. And this is the new film starring Jeff Daniels and Jim Carrey, directed by the Farrelly brothers.
There he is again. Almost 2 decades and he still comes.
How you doing, buddy? Brought you your favorite candies. Come on, Lloyd, you gotta get over her. Mary Samsonite was just a girl. That's it, kid. Come on, spit it out. God, yeah! Wait a minute. So you mean you have been faking for 20 years? Mm-hmm. And it was all for a gag?
Yep.
That's awesome!
Once you roll me inside, we'll get the nurse to take the catheter out of me.
We don't need nurses for that.
But don't you have to...
And as you point out, Jermaine, it takes place in real time, or at least it begins in real time, 20 years after the events of the first
We
film.
see the progression of these characters. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's very similar to a film called Boyhood. All right, it's funny. Like after the trailer came out, I wrote it up on the site. I watched it, and I was kind of excited because they did some test screenings here in LA. And I know a couple people went, and they said it was really funny. And I was like, awesome, here we go. Here's the trailer, and it was just like silence. I was very uncomfortable watching it, and I mean, and I found myself in the minority when I went on Twitter. People were, oh my God, I'm so glad I laughed my balls off, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, well, A, I'm going to see the movie anyway, so it doesn't really matter. B, it's a hard R-rated comedy. Return to that for the Farleys, so maybe they're not showing the best stuff. But it was really uncomfortable for me to see those characters in those roles again, those actors in those roles again. I don't know why. Like, maybe they've sort of grown beyond it. So to see, like, 55-year-old men be like, hey, Lloyd, it just really bugged me. I have high hopes for the movie, but the trailer really, it turned me off.
You've just convinced me we need to have a Dumb and Dumber 2 reenactment by Jermaine Lucier.
I'm in.
Jeff Kanata.
I will say that I usually try to avoid spoiler or trailers, but I would say with this trailer I like a lot.
Oh, I get it.
That was as clever as the movie.
I don't know if that's a compliment or not. I think it made me laugh, man. A trailer that makes you laugh is a good thing, and it is. I'm in. First of all, best title of a movie ever.
It's good.
Yeah.
I'm in. I think this could be ridiculously stupid and funny.
I just feel like, what are people expecting? The first movie was not like the most incisive, politically trenchant film of all time.
But among like,
My God, I
stupid
want to
funny
see that so
movies.
bad. I want to see the box quote that says "Dumb and Dumber," politically trenchant. Dave Chen.
That's the third movie. Dumb and Dumber, House of Cards.
Yeah, there you go.
How about you, Devindra? What are your thoughts?
I actually really enjoyed the trailer. I loved the first
I told you
movie.
guys.
It was just it was one of those movies that I don't know. It was either always on HBO or something, and I just ended up rewatching it a lot as a kid. It was a fun movie. It's a dumb movie for sure, but it's also one of those '90s ones I've revisited a couple years ago. It still kind of holds up. It's still kind of funny. But I'm surprised that the Farrelly brothers are doing something that kind of makes me interested for once. It's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
I just, here's the weird thing is that I liked the first movie and didn't love the trailer. But like I said, sometimes I go out on a limb here. What about you, Dave? What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I thought so. It is a little bit weird because they dress up the guy, as you point out, Jermaine. They dress up the guys as like the exact same outfits as they were in from the original.
So that is part of the joke too,
and the same hairstyle as well. And like, but you can tell like by looking at their faces that they are significantly older. And it is a weird thing for me, I guess, like because we've seen stars age before us, and I don't know. I find that like a really profound process in some ways. Like you were just talking about Boyhood, but we've seen like actors, our favorite actors over time age, and I know people are like, "Well, duh, Dave. Of course they age." I get that, but I don't know. It just usually you see it.
Ones you grow up with, right, Dave? It's like, oh man, they're getting older, so I'm getting older, so now I'm closer to death.
Exactly, that's right. Well, another year closer to death, and it's also kind of like because you see them on film and you watch you might watch a movie like 5 or 6 times or whatever for a movie that you really like. You think of them as like fixed in that age for forever.
Film kind of immortalizes people,
right?
At that specific point, and then seeing the progression is what is kind of jarring.
It's kind of jarring, and so that already jarring process is made even more jarring by the fact that it's this ridiculous movie and they're wearing the exact same clothes.
Well, especially after both Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels have gone on to do incredibly great, serious, dramatic roles.
Right. Yeah.
Seeing them come back to these really, really juvenile characters, I'm getting a kick out of that. Seeing the guy from the newsroom.
I do think there's very little difference between his character in the newsroom and his character in this film, though. But that's just my opinion.
Zing.
Anyway, so that's the Dumb and Dumber 2 trailer. Check it out at slashfilm.com. Couple of other pieces of news. We found out that the Magic the Gathering film is going to be written by Game of Thrones writer and producer Brian Cogman. Brian Cogman was interviewed by us for slashfilm.com at the Cast of Kings podcast. That was a really enjoyable interview. I'd encourage you to check it out. Jermaine, you linked to it here in this piece. Curious about your thoughts on Magic the Gathering as a movie. Jermaine, you have first word because you wrote this up.
I did write it up, and the thing is that I've never really played Magic the Gathering. When it was really, really at the height of its popularity, maybe 15 years ago, I tried to get into it.
Now
I know
it's at the height of its popularity.
More popular than it was back then. All right, I trust
by
you.
Far.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it. But
all right, then I regret calling upon you. No.
Yeah, I am totally. But I will say this. Knowing that it's a fantasy game with a lot of broad things, and knowing that this guy is a really accomplished fantasy writer, as a non-fan, it gets me more excited about it. They didn't hire Joe Schmo, who's written Dumb and Dumber 2 to do it, so it happens.
Didn't the Farrelly brothers write Dumb and Dumber 2?
Yes, it was. It was a terrible joke.
Bad example, Jermaine.
I was trying to be a timely example, guys, and I was expecting to laugh, and I heard the dead silence. I knew that it had just bombed. That's fine.
That's just because you were wearing the exact same costume that you wore the last time you made that joke 20 years ago.
Same clothes, exactly.
Yeah.
How
about you, Jeff? You're into this.
Yeah, Jeff is the man, right?
I'm very much into this. I think this is potentially a very, very cool movie, and you want. It just makes sense. This pairing of creator with property makes sense. It's in his wheelhouse for sure. And I think Magic the Gathering's fiction. I mean, there's numerous novels and comic book series, et cetera, et cetera. Its fiction is certainly robust enough to support a narrative film. I'm confident that the movie is not going to be a bunch of kids get together and play Magic the Gathering, and then the characters come to life. It's not going to be that. It's going to be
the Zathura of Magic the Gathering.
Yeah. I mean, if 15 years ago, it may have been. That if you had made a Magic the Gathering movie 15, 20 years ago, that's what they would have made.
Have you guys seen that Dungeons and Dragons movie?
Yes.
Because
yes.
my God, yeah.
Well, the thing is, I don't know. I feel like fantasy's making a big comeback. I mean,
yeah.
Game of Thrones, this week it was announced that it has eclipsed The Sopranos as the most popular show ever in the history of HBO.
And that's why you get these kinds of properties having legs when they're trying to, make $100 million movies out of them, and why you'll get an authentic, seriously toned movie that'll treat these characters with respect and not make them just an extension of a toy line. It'll be about the Planeswalkers. It'll be set in the realm of Magic the Gathering, and I think though the fiction there is really cool. And if I would bet you won't even see a single card in the movie,
right.
Except for maybe one kind of quick inside joke. But I'm sure it'll be all just sort of taking it on its face value and treating the IP the same way they treat Marvel IP or Game of Thrones.
Any excitement for you, Devindra, on this Magic the Gathering movie, which is being shepherded by Simon Kinberg?
No, I've got nothing.
All right.
I've done many geeky things in my time, but unfortunately, Magic was not one of them.
I have actually played Magic the Gathering before, so I'm also excited for this. Yeah. Brian Cogman is basically a genius from my perspective, so
Nice.
I'm really excited that he is going to be tackling this.
Well, if you want to see how bad we've had it in the fantasy genre, go find that Dungeons and Dragons movie, because it is one of the worst things you will ever see. It is horrific. And kind of amazingly horrific.
With Burt Reynolds is in it, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So
All right.
I rest my case.
Sold. Oh, sorry.
Of the many things that Entourage was able to predict, who would have thought that one of them was an actual Aquaman film? Turns out, no, actually,
I think Entourage had very little to do with it.
I think they saw how popular it was in Entourage, and they're like, we got to include Aquaman in the new Dawn of Justice movie. Aquaman, there's not going to be an Aquaman film, but Aquaman is going to be in Dawn of Justice, the Batman v Superman film, and he's going to be played by Jason Momoa. So good on Jason for landing that role. Anyone excited to see Aquaman?
I think he pulled the wrong ticker, I guess, in the superhero lottery or something.
Yeah. Well, every actor has to play one, and so he just got short straw.
Well, he had a chance to play Drax the Destroyer and wanted too much money.
Oh, really?
And, oh, yeah, he was
holding out for that Aquaman coin.
He was the most made fun of major superhero in the world, Aquaman.
So there's this piece in the New York Times written by Alex French called "The Last Disposable Action Hero." Have you guys read this piece?
I think I have. Yeah.
And it basically says like people who want to be action stars today, they have it quite difficult. So I'm going to quote from the piece. For years, a reboot of the Conan franchise had been in the works, possibly starring Schwarzenegger as the aging savage. But when when R.V. Lerner's New Image Films decided on the revival in 2008, Lerner and his partners opted to go with an unknown, which would be much cheaper. Everyone knows I'm a money man, Lerner told me. I'm not out to win an Oscar. If I spend $60 million on a movie, I want to make a 20 or 30% return.
That is the wrong voice to have read that quote in. You got to talk like this. I don't want to win an Oscar. I just want to make a little money.
20% return.
When the producers finally settled on Momoa in 2010, he threw himself into the role, embarking on an intensive 6-week training regimen, working out 6 hours a day, including 2 hours of samurai sword practice. He ate a boiled chicken breast every 2 hours, roughly 56 chicken breasts per week, and packed on an additional 30 pounds of muscle to his already brawny frame. Yeah. But Conan suffered a dismal opening weekend, earning only $10.5 million domestically.
He was so busy eating chicken, he forgot to read the script, and it was like, oh crap, this movie stinks.
Have you guys read the Hugh Jackman workout regimen for Wolverine? I mean, no. They wake him up. He gets woken up every 2 hours to eat. I'm not joking.
I've heard about some of that. You don't get those massive veiny muscles just by sitting around, guys. Yeah, come on.
True. Well, I've been trying, and it just hasn't been working out.
Well, I think, what this piece kind of highlights is that for every Chris Evans who's making tons of coin, as Jeff says, tons of coin, making a movie that's making like $500 million worldwide, there are people who get paid diddly squat to star in a movie like Conan, which then goes nowhere, and all that working out was apparently for nothing.
Well, he still gets the sweet bod.
Yeah, it helped him out for other roles.
I guess
too.
small
Yeah,
culture.
he wouldn't have been Khal Drago if he wasn't, in that shape.
I think
right?
this happened afterwards.
Yeah,
Was Conan after that?
Post
Oh yeah, maybe.
Drago.
Oh, there you go.
I would like to talk just a moment seriously about the ramifications of this for Batman v Superman, if I may. First of all, I'm actually maybe the only one among us, but I'm actually genuinely pleased that Aquaman made the cut and that they didn't, they didn't go, screw Aquaman, he's the joke, and we're not putting him in the Justice League movie. I'm glad that there is an Aquaman, firstly. Secondly, it will be the biggest mistake in the history of everything if they give this guy a blonde wig. So if anyone is hearing me, please do not make him blonde just because he's blonde in the comic book. I kind of dig the fact that he's, an ethnic guy in this part. It's kind of cool.
You realize you're inviting the inevitable backlash from nerd fanboys protesting that the Aquaman of the film is not blonde and white.
Indeed. I mean, the biggest problem, though, guys.
I'm just joking, Jeff. No one gives a crap about Aquaman. So.
How do we make Aquaman gritty, guys?
Well,
what is the dark, gritty Aquaman gonna be?
Well,
is he gonna go there like ravaging SeaWorld for revenge or something?
Yeah,
what is going on?
Well, the rumor is that based on Hitfix broke the story. It's not. I mean, it's as official is until Warner Brothers breaks it. But is that the way they're going to tie this in? Is that from Man of Steel? Spoilers. There's the whole world engine in the Indian Ocean that screws up the whole world, and Aquaman got pissed. And
I like the idea is that the plot of this movie is Batman's like, I'm pissed, and then
everything. The plot
six other people are like, I am also pissed.
Yeah, the plot of Batman v Superman. Yeah, you're right. Is basically how the world was pissed about the end of Man of Steel. So was the diegetic world of Man of Steel, and so
we should form a league of some sort.
We should form a league of justice. Maybe it's the dawn of this, and but
what time should we form? No, tomorrow morning's good. How early? Well, I get up real early. You're like dawn. Yeah.
We're talking dawn or sunrise?
Jeff,
I get those
spoilers for the end of the movie. That's the last line of the film. After Batman gets punched once by Superman, the movie's 3 minutes long.
Yeah.
But you know what? I agree. I think Aquaman's a fun addition. Warner Brothers, this is a much bigger conversation for just this little spot, but Warner Brothers has to do something really crazy to sort of try to catch up to Marvel. And I like the idea of bringing in all the superheroes.
Why do they need to catch up to Marvel?
No, just to make these characters worthy. They have arguably
well, Jeff. Also on a business note, they are not doing well this year. I mean, Edge of Tomorrow didn't perform that well, and Jupiter Ascending was pushed back.
But Tammy is going to save us all.
So they need after Harry Potter is gone. Yeah. They need a huge hit franchise to make them competitive. So
yeah, but I'm just I think I'm not a fan of this being the second movie, but I like the idea of bringing in these characters. I think Momoa as Aquaman is a good idea. There's also tied into this schedule that leaked, this rumored schedule of all these films. I don't know how correct that schedule is going to be. We'll know in the next couple months, but it seems like they're really trying something big and epic here at Warner Brothers, and I'm all for it. But you're right, Jeff. I don't want them to try to emulate Marvel. I want them to do their own thing, and that's sort of what this feels like. It's like, let's introduce all our characters in the second movie, and the third movie is our Avengers. So maybe it'll work. We'll see.
Yeah, we will see. Why are you excited about Aquaman, though, Jeff? I don't think I ever grokked that.
I'm just as a comic book guy. I'm just glad he made the cut. Is what I'm saying.
But why? Why? What about Aquaman?
Jeff likes swimming.
He's traditionally one of the core Justice League guys. I think he's a.
I guess Jeff, all you're saying is that you like it because he's there. Is there an affinity you have for the character?
Oh, well, how would you like to see his power realized in the Zack Snyder vision? They're
hanging out. There's a fish tank there, and he's like, he walks over and he's like, "What's that, Goldie?" He's what? Oh, Goldie, think you screwed up big time, Superman.
By the way, Zack Snyder's listening to this and taking notes. So no blonde wig. Talk to goldfish. Noted.
Zack Snyder has been known to consume content on /film.com that
is true.
that mentions him. So
You could have a really awesome looking Zack Snyder-y all CG moment of him riding on a giant seahorse in the ocean and then like cresting out of the ocean and coming up and being like, "The nation of Atlantis also stands with ye."
With
You
ye,
know?
Batman, and Batman's
Yeah.
like, cool. And that's like, yeah.
wow, this is amazing. Okay, well,
This is why I'm only a part-time writer.
so
I'm just glad the podcast got some old English in this week. I mean, that's really what it's all about.
all right. Well, we got to thank all the people that donated to the Filmcast this week. Shout out to Chris Ying. Happy belated Father's Day from Rose Lee. Thanks to Ryan from Bradenton, Florida. Albert from Palo Alto, California. Anthony Eels from Australia. Thank you guys so much for your donations. Thanks also to new subscribers at the rate of $2 per month. Henry Berthelsen, Philip Huang, Jeremy Moore, Oscar Segoviano, Sebastian Jonku, Hunter Molliver, and William Mason. Thank you guys so much for your contributions. You can always donate to the /filmcast by going to /film.com using the PayPal links on the left-hand side of the page on the /filmcast tab at /film.com. So, guys, let's get into it. Our review of How to Train Your Dragon 2.
We've really got to work on your solo gliding there, bud. Toothless. You're pouting, big baby boo. We'll try this on. Oh, you feeling it yet? Yeah, you wouldn't hurt a one-legged. This is Burke. Life here is amazing. Dragons used to be a bit of a problem, but now they've all moved in.
Did I tell you that you look amazing today? Because you do.
And with Vikings on the backs of dragons, the world just got a whole lot bigger.
This is amazing!
That was from the trailer of How to Train Your Dragon 2, and it's the latest film in the How to Train Your Dragon series, directed by Dean how do you guys pronounce this? Dubois.
Yeah.
And you know, Jermaine, I can't help but wonder why you don't use the French pronunciation of your name.
Well, it has a lot to do with How to Train Your Dragon. It is literally that my name is really Germain Lucier, and nobody would ever be able to pronounce that right. So,
First of all, how dare you imply that I wouldn't be able to pronounce it correctly?
well, maybe you, Mr. Chen. But
Germain.
the rest of the world,
From now on, it's going to be Germain.
Germain.
Lucier.
But it was just I guess a long time ago, my family decided to Americanize it.
All right, well, fair enough. This is
You went by that. If you use that pronunciation, you would have to make all of your reviews much harsher.
That's true. Just very, very.
I thought it was a sheet.
So, anyway, How to Train Your Dragon 2. It's been 4 years since How to Train Your Dragon 1. And that movie didn't perform that well at the box office when it came out in its opening weekend, but had a lot of what we in the industry called legs. It continued to make more money week after week, and sustained itself very well for like 6 weeks, 7 weeks after it came out. Made almost $500 million worldwide, so it warranted a sequel. Now, How to Train Your Dragon 2 comes out. It also didn't do great opening weekend. It got beat by 22 Jump Street handily. So I'm curious to see how this is going to go for this film, but there is very little competition in terms of this demographic for the next month. I mean, the only thing that's coming out is like the Planes sequel, I think, from Disney.
Yeah. Jeff, Peter and I are done in that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, why don't you ask Germain how he feels about the wager we have as a flash film?
This last film movie wager, Peter and I both said that How to Train Your Dragon 2 would handily be the #1 movie of the summer. And when it opens at number 2, that is not a good sign. But I do think
it's not even close. It's not even close to the #1 movie right now. At this point.
But what you just said, and we interrupted rudely, is that it has no competition the rest of the summer. I'm excited. I'm kind of looking forward to Planes, Fire and Rescue, but nobody gives a crap. Like this is really the only kids movie, and it will have legs because I feel it is good. We will see what you guys think.
Well,
as well.
yeah. So
Aren't you kind of shocked though that this movie didn't have the opening power of something like a Despicable Me?
I agree completely.
Oh, absolutely. I am
think,
very shocked.
Yeah, I think that's what they were. I'm assuming that's what they were hoping for. And you have 4 years of pent up demand to capitalize on. So it is interesting to me that it didn't do better in opening weekend.
I think that came from the fact that, I mean, I don't watch a lot of kids channel, so I didn't see like any promotion for the film, but I saw promotion everywhere for 22 Jump Street. I mean, I think Sony marketed the crap out of that way better than Fox did for Dragon, and I think that's really what it was, and that you market that for the opening weekend. So, like I said, hopefully Legs, it'll pull out. It's not going to do 400 million. Like
Why are
we
you
thought.
guys saying legs when you could be saying wings? Come on.
Or long
come
tail.
on, guys.
Long tail.
One thing to point out, nicely done, Jeff. One thing to point out also is that I would say this movie, while I think it's totally appropriate for kids to watch, I do feel it's more sort of cerebral and serious than a movie like Despicable Me.
It's also scarier.
Yeah. So that's worth considering when we say, like, why is it doing better with kids?
Yeah.
Anyway, Germain Lucier, Germain, what do you think of How to Train Your Dragon 2, which follows these two friends, Hiccup and Toothless, who find themselves at the center of a battle to protect the peace?
Ooh, I love that. You read that. I very much enjoyed it. I'm a fan of the first film. I'm not a Dave Chen fan of the first film, but I am a fan. And what I loved about the second movie was I didn't know where it was going to go. And I'm not going to talk spoilers here, but what I did like was that almost every single scene surprised me, where the film just kept growing and growing, and the narrative and the stakes just kept growing, and the characters and the action and everything about it just kept like it was like a snowball effect, you know. And I was moved. I was excited. I liked pretty much everything about it. I think the only thing, and Dave, you and I talked about this in our 22 Jump Street talk, was the only thing, and it has to go Jump Street as well, is that this is the second movie, so there wasn't as many surprises necessarily. I mean, I think narratively there are, but we already know the characters. We know the world of Burke. We know Toothless. We know Hiccup. We know Astrid. So the movie itself didn't surprise me as much, but the narrative did, and emotionally it did. And for that reason, I really, really liked it. I probably like it a tad less than the first one, even though it's a much bigger, grander film.
Jermaine's referring to our 22 Jump Street video review, which you can find at slashfilm.com. Glad to hear you liked it, Jermaine. Jeff Kanata, your thoughts?
Yeah, actually, I agree a lot with what Jermaine said. It is bigger, and it is bigger than the first movie. And I really felt like calling your movie How to Train Your Dragon 2 obviously is, you're making the second How to Train Your Dragon movie, but I was worried that they were going to do the thing where it's like, well, we need to train more dragons because we called our movie How to Train Your Dragon, and that there would be some sort of step backwards to sort of reset the status quo and have to start from scratch again and start training dragons all over again. And I'm pleased that they did not do that, that they instead expanded the universe, pushed things forward. The first time we come across Toothless and Hiccup, they have matured. They have come into their own. You see the full flowering of their partnership together and their sort of powers, if you will. Like the fact that Hiccup has been, since the last movie ended, working with Toothless and flying on Toothless, and their flight skills have leveled up. I loved that, and how we find him, and he's got new gadgets because he was always the blacksmith's apprentice, that was making stuff. I loved all of that, and I thought the movie on a whole took that spirit of pushing forward the universe, expanding it out, finding new characters and new area, literally new locations in the world to visit, and pushing things to a grander scale was really enjoyable for me. I thought the movie had heart, and one of the things I love most about both the first film and I'm also almost a Dave Chen level lover of the first film, as close as anyone can be without being Dave Chen. I love that it doesn't go down that traditional 3-act structure template of having our hero do something dumb in the second act that he then has to, make up for in the third act. Hiccup always has his heart in the right place, and he doesn't the lessons that he learns aren't about him screwing things up because he did something acted rashly, whatever. He's always got his head in the right place, and he's doing the right thing and being a good guy. And I think that's wonderful, and it's a testament to the storytelling that they managed to do that again in this movie. And we still have drama. There are a few minor discordant notes for me, which we'll get in spoilers. But overall, I had such a grand sense of adventure in this one. The cinematography, Richard Deakins is credited as, excuse me, Roger Deakins is credited as a consultant on this movie, and it shows. I mean, this movie is gorgeous, especially in 3D. The flying scenes, which shone so brightly in the first movie, are even better here. I think there's some amazing just choreography of the shots.
I mean, if you look at the first film, like the animation seems almost crude compared to what you see here. Like it is next level.
It's like a Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, the Sam Raimi version situation there. Yeah.
Or the Mark Webb versions. Oh, sorry.
So it's I was thoroughly entertained. I teared up at several moments, just as I did in the first movie. I loved finding these characters again. It hit all notches for me. I found it a thoroughly entertaining time at the theater. I loved it.
Devindra Hardwar, your thoughts?
Yeah, I feel like we're going to sound like a broken record for this episode because I freaking love this movie. And that's after, I really like the first one as well. I love the first one. Definitely not as much as you, Dave. Like you are probably the biggest How to Train Your Dragon fan, I don't know, outside of like many young kids who've read all the books and stuff. But I love this film because it does some tremendous things. Like it grows this world in really interesting ways. The characters all grow. Some really surprising things happen in the film too that I would not think would happen in a kids movie. And the way, I just described it coming out of the theater is like it goes full Star Wars on so many levels. This is like taking a property, that started out kind of simple, a boy kind of rising above his humble beginnings and kind of finding his heroism in the first film to a point where, the child is a leader. The stakes are much higher. The world just becomes that much bigger, and we begin to learn more about, how the dragons work and how there are other sorts of dragons around. And I just found it fascinating. It does feel a little predictable in certain ways, just because there's a certain hero's journey Hiccup has to go through, and there are many ways to implement it. And I think they went a pretty straightforward way. Like they didn't try to, like you were saying, Jeff, like there was none of that, doing something stupid in the middle of the movie. I like that they didn't have him relearn everything he learned in the first movie, which is something even Star Trek Into Darkness couldn't avoid. Like that's essentially the same character arc again. This one's completely different. We see Hiccup grow. His relationship with Toothless grows in some like fascinating ways, and it just looks amazing. It sounds amazing. The score, I love John Paul's score for the first film, but this one, there's a point where it just feels like, we see them approach something huge and mysterious, and the score just kind of rises to like an operatic level. And I'm just often found myself thinking like, how is this a kid's movie? Because the level of quality of writing, the film score, of so many things, like the level of quality is so just magnificent. Like I actually found this more fulfilling than I'd say most of the blockbusters this year for me. Like it's just up there. I had to make excuses for certain things I liked about Godzilla, despite some things being dumb. Whereas this movie is like it is from start to finish, I think, magnificent. And there are definitely issues, but for what it is, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I really like this movie as well. But
oh, this is what everybody's been waiting for. I'm getting messages on Twitter. I want to know what Dave has to think about How to Train Your Dragon. I got to know all about it.
No, I love this movie. The score is great. Everything is about this movie, from the animation to how it expands the universe. Everything is bigger and better, and the score is better, and there's more characters, and there's more dragons. And I like the fact that at the end of the last movie. And I'm going to spoil How to Train Your Dragon 1, so that's I'm not going to spoil anything from this film, but going to spoil the first film. At the end of the first movie, they start to integrate dragons into society, and if you think of like what a world-changing idea that would be in any society, it'd be like the domestication of flying mammal or a flying animal, I should say, in our world. It would have world-changing implications. And I like the fact that this movie respects that. And that's like written into the plot. I know I haven't read Cressida Cowell's book, so I don't know like what component of that is in the books, but I like the fact that the film chooses to deal with it in a really cool way. And so, yeah, this is one of the best films of the summer. Like you said, Devindra, I mean, I certainly enjoy this movie better than a film like Godzilla, which was still quite good. But
you know what? It occurred to me when I was watching it that it delivers. I had watched it. I got a really early screening of it. Thank you, Jermaine, for that, by the way. And I had just come off of, I think, just seeing Godzilla or right around that time. And it occurred to me that it did everything that the previous big blockbusters of the summer had done, but better. Like, it was a better Spider-Man than Spider-Man. It was a better big giant monster movie than Godzilla. It was, it hit all the notes of all the other movies, but one-upped all of them.
Right. So it's a great film, and I highly recommend it.
Do you like it more than the first one, Dave? Because it sounds like you have buts.
And this is a huge but, is just that the first movie, so there's a couple things that, like the first movie, I feel like did really, really well. One of them was, it was one of the only movies I feel that has been able to capture the wonder of flight in a theater. Like, you're watching it and you almost feel like you are actually flying. The use of 3D and IMAX together was just extraordinary. This movie, I thought, actually at least equaled what the first movie did in that regard. So I was very happy to see that. As you pointed out, I think, Jermaine, you pointed out, like, there's just the wonder of the first movie has subsided a little bit, just because we already know this world, we already know the characters, and we've already seen a lot of the stuff that you see in the first film in this movie. There's some new things, but we've already seen a lot of it, and so that wonder is no longer there. But I can't penalize the movie for that, because that's just the way watching movies goes. My only beef with this movie, and it's not even really a beef, it's just like minor disappointment, is at the end of the first film, Toothless faces off with what's called the Red Death, which is this enormous creature. And the way that the scale of that creature is shown compared to Toothless is incredible and awe-inspiring. And the way Toothless takes that character down is exhilarating. And the way it's filmed, like, a lot of these incredibly elaborate sequences in that set piece take place in one long continuous shot, which would have been impossible with a live action film. And just, it was so mind blowing how good that sequence was. Like, first they show you Toothless flying, and then they show, in the first film, they show Toothless flying, and then they show you discovering it, and, what's her name? America Ferrera is up in the clouds with them, and it's like all the wondrous and amazing, and then, oh my gosh, somehow they were able to one-up that by having him take down this Red Death in the most spectacular way imaginable. And I kept thinking to myself, how are they going to top this for How to Train Your Dragon 2? There's no way they can top it. And in my opinion, I don't think they topped it. I mean, I think that there are some amazing sequences with hundreds of characters in them that is just like the logistics of like animating those set pieces are like, it's the mind boggles at thinking about it. It's really impressive what they're able to do, and in fact, the ending of this film is very thematically satisfying. Like, it fits in with the theme of like, oh, I see how that pays off everything you've been building up to. So it's a very good film. It's really, really good. But I think, Dave, it didn't quite top that closing scene from the first film, in my opinion. So that's my only problem.
See that.
I agree with you. I understand. But what wowed me about it, again, keeping it spoiler free for now, is that if you take the first film and you call that ending quality, this almost has the quantity over quality. And I don't mean the dragons. I mean that, like, the set piece. There's way more set pieces in this. The sort of emotionally sort of made up for that for me.
Right.
Like,
every set piece has like a purpose. It's not just like, here's a bunch of action.
No, but like the end of the second act of this movie felt like the end of the movie. Like, it could have been.
Right.
If they wanted to make it like a 60-minute movie.
That would have been a really interesting way to end it.
Absolutely. I literally thought that was the end of the movie when I saw it.
I would have like clapped, at that point.
But even that, that battle, that Act 2 battle is the end of the movie. And then it just keeps going, and that's what I love about it. So I feel like, while yes, it doesn't have that sort of chill-inducing ending like the first movie, the fact that it has like 3 moments that are just like 2 levels below that almost equals it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Fair enough.
I kind of feel the same way. Like, I do think, like, just the expanded way they built up this world, and everything is so satisfying. Like, they really pay attention to these characters that I actually ended up enjoying this more than the first one, I'd say.
All right.
I loved all the stuff they did in the background, where you would have what is ostensibly just 2 characters talking to each other, and then Toothless is playing in the background like a little puppy.
Yeah.
You know, there were so many lovely moments like that. It's charming as all hell. It's great.
All right, shall we move on into spoilers, guys?
Yes.
Let's move to spoilers for How to Train Your Dragon, starting right now.
Now you're looking for the secret.
Did I see this coming?
No,
But you won't find it because, of course,
you're not going to see this coming.
you're not really looking.
I have been puzzling over how it works.
You don't really want to work it out.
Who's in the box?
I have been dying to tell you.
I want to tell you my secret.
You want to be fooled.
So I think the real ballsy thing this movie does is kill off Hiccup's father.
Right. But not just
totally.
kill him off. Not just kill him
kill
off.
him off.
Have his best friend kill him off. This is something they're going to have to live with for the rest of their lives. That's insane.
Oh, have
Freaking
Toothless kill him, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
and
but
how...
I felt that it was sort of you guys maybe I saw it a little while ago. Didn't you feel like though that that his death is almost underplayed a little bit? Like he dies, it's Toothless. Oh my God, we give him his Viking funeral, and then boom, peace out. We're on to the next scene. I
didn't feel that way at all. Sorry.
I did
really?
feel that way. I felt like, that being said, Jermaine, they may not grapple with it until like the next movie.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, he does. It is like a time thing where they have to get back to Burke.
It didn't feel as jarring as like in Godzilla when something similar happens, where it feels like cut to main character feeling totally fine.
Yeah,
Whereas
That's
in
just
this,
because
like,
Godzilla is a terrible movie.
also because like you at least have the funeral scene, and it's freaking like Hiccup has his little speech, and that made me tear up. Like just you're seeing him grow up here a little, but also the idea that this kid's like, oh man, he like finally he has a complete family after 20 years, and all that got to me because it's like, oh man, this kid, like he lost that complete family after having it for like 6 hours.
Yeah.
You know? It's like
and it
there's
was such a beautiful way of assembling the family with that song and everything. That was so lovely.
It's insane. But it's like it's the sense of loss that we kind of got a hint of in the first film where, Hiccup actually loses his leg. He does a heroic thing, but he lost something because of this. The fact that this is, a children's series that's actually taking loss seriously in a big way, I think is just fascinating.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
And it deals with these weighty issues like losing a limb. It doesn't just have it happen. It like actually becomes kind of a plot point.
Yeah.
And you talk about serious issues. I mean, like I was floored by the way it deals with like prejudice and tolerance with the bad guys and the way they sort of hate dragons because they don't understand them. I mean, it's all sort of obvious surface stuff, but it was really interesting to put that in there. Like I felt like they were really striving to teach the audience something there.
Yeah,
So,
I did find it interesting that the bad guy was played by a black dude, but he is not black in the film. I think
he has like pseudo dreadlocks, I guess.
Right, but I think they wanted to just avoid that whole discussion completely, which I think was a smart move on their part.
There is. I mean, that's one of the slightly annoying things about the series, right? Because America Ferrera is co-star, but she's playing, a very light-skinned blonde girl. But they're telling a Viking story, so I guess they have a certain amount of excusability here.
Yeah. Jeff, what were you going to say?
I have a few issues with the movie. One of which is I profoundly dislike this trope in sci-fi and fantasy stories of fight the brainwashing,
right?
Fight it. Fight it! Like, what is happening? What is that?
What's the power of love? It's the power of love, Jeff. Come on.
Power of love is a curious.
Insert
thing.
Huey Lewis here, yeah.
I just, it's such a I think lazy thing, and it bummed me out that we had to resort to that. Now it turned out to be a real minor issue in an otherwise really fantastic movie, but that was one thing that I just hate seeing in these kinds of films because it isn't anything. Like that isn't anything.
No, well, I'd argue that because it's like the mechanics of it definitely look silly, and I've seen it played much worse in other films. Like, but come on, it did not break your heart at all to see like what they did with Hiccup and the way he does this like weird evil transformation.
No,
it just felt thematically right the way Hiccup brought him back. That's all.
I don't know. I was with you up to a point. I love it was such a bold choice to make him do that deed, but then I thought they could have come up with a better, more clever, more satisfying way to
get him
back
out of it. Right.
Yeah. My other issue, and you guys brought up the villain, is the first movie did such a fantastic job of conveying the rules of the world, and it did it in such wonderful shorthand of, those moments that we get the montage of Hiccup like discovering something and then using it in the arena, like how they're afraid of what they respect this, or they're afraid of those things,
or they're ticklish or whatever. Yeah,
exactly. And in this movie, I have no sense of how the hell the villain was doing anything that he was doing, and why he knew to do that. How did he have control over the Alpha? Like, what?
Right, how is it like proximity? Does the Alpha need to be looking at you?
Yeah,
right?
I had no idea how he was doing what he was doing whatsoever.
I mean, there were certain things we saw in the Alpha that were kind of interesting, right? It was locked down in certain ways. It had these weird restraints over its arms or over its horns, I guess. So, yeah, that it is a mystery, but I also
think one thing we haven't mentioned at all is that this was specifically made to be Chapter 2 in a 3-chapter trilogy.
Right.
So, I mean, like, we're going to learn a lot more about Night Furies in the next movie. I'm sure Alphas will play a big deal. Obviously, Hiccup being the new whatever tribesman or whatever.
Well, actually, I thought that was going to play a role in this film because they mentioned at the beginning, like, oh man, imagine if we find another Night Fury. And I was like, oh man, is this the movie they're going to find another Night Fury?
Yeah.
Will that ever happen? We don't know. But to the way the villain, by the way, kind of controls the dragons, I thought it was interesting how it was basically like, his force of will. Like, it was a really interesting look. It's sort of like the Force, right? You either go to the dark side or you go the way of the Jedi. And the way the villain in this movie, basically, he forces his will upon these creatures. He makes them his slaves, basically, to do whatever he wants, or at least the Alpha. Whereas, Hiccup's thing is more about, like, trying to understand them and kind of, out of love and friendship. There is another Star Wars little element there that I enjoyed. And also freaking Fire Sword, guys. We weren't even prepared for Fire Sword. Like, it just appeared and I was like, oh my God, what is happening right now?
Well, I love the whole steampunk kind of aesthetic, right?
And we see how he powers it. Yeah.
Like the mix of old and new.
I mean, that's one of the best parts of the movie is that you saw him grow in the first movie, and so to see him as this fully realized hero, obviously was still room to grow. But where he's got this fire sword and he's got that confidence, like when he goes back to face down the trappers or whatever, that's a badass move, and that's so different from the character in the first movie.
Right.
So good.
Yeah, he's confident. Yeah, he's Luke after Dagobah. He's
absolutely
fully matured Jedi. And I'm glad you brought up Star Wars, because another thing that got dangerously close to being a deal breaker for me, we haven't even really brought up the mother yet.
Yep.
Yeah. But the fact that it got so close to him being the chosen one, it being like you're my son, and I can commune with dragons, and you can commune with dragons. So we have the special power that's in your blood with midichlorians.
I think that's the way it works in the books, by the way, just from what I've read in transcriptions. But the series, this movie has nothing to do with any of the books, from what I can tell.
It got super close to that, and I would have been really upset if it had gone full bore there, because the idea that it conveys so wonderfully is just have your heart in the right place, and anybody can do this. Like he wins with the power of friendship and acceptance, and not a lack of prejudgment. That's how he overcomes those problems, and anybody can do it. And if you make it like your mother has the special power and now you have the special power, I would have been really pissed.
Yeah, I agree. I understand what you're saying, Jeff, but I think they sort of made it just more about genes. Like, she was a different person than the father was, and sort of he just got her spirit. I don't think it was specifically like midichlorians, you know what I mean?
No, they were trying to make it like he's the perfect combination of his two parents.
Yeah, exactly.
It's more the way they think. Like, this movie it's more cerebral, like we were saying before. Like, it is a little more cerebral than most kids' movies, because it is really about belief structures and thought structures, and how one parent may be very conservative and very traditionalist, and one wants to be a little more progressive and try new things. And you see that conflict taking place in Hiccup. So yeah, but the mother thing, I just want to say, like, that reveal, I saw the trailers. I didn't notice that if they, put her announcement in the trailer, but the way they meet in the sky and her like eventual unhelmeting, I thought was fantastic.
So good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And my only issue with that though is I kind of felt like they were modeling her after Jane Goodall, that she very much looks like Jane Goodall, and I think that was sort
Darth
of
Goodall or something.
Yeah. But this is going to sound real hippy-dippy and touchy-feely, but, I kind of bummed me out that she was this lithe, thin, beautiful female. I loved in the first movie the joke that he makes about using the hats. The hats are made from her bust, because it implied that she was this big old Viking woman. And so, I wish they
really retconned that, man.
Well, I just wish they had the courage to sort of make her less than perfect.
Less than a conventionally beautiful woman, you're saying.
Yeah.
She's also super athletic and rides on freaking dragons. So it would be hard not to maintain your health like that. So I think if you
I think we should talk more about her workout regimen.
Yeah, I heard she ate a lot of chicken, big slops of it every 2 hours.
You're saying it's
chicken breast every 2 hours.
How to cross train your dragon.
Oh, nice.
That is it right there. That was it.
I gotta start playing a noise every time you make one of those, Chef. All right, guys. I agree with your issues of the movie, Jeff, especially the whole thing about hey, buddy, it's me, your friend. That thing is kind of cringeworthy. These are but minor annoyances in otherwise extraordinary films.
Did you guys before we wrap up? Did you guys think the Kristen Wiig bit with the other guy was funny? I really enjoyed it. It gets a little excessive, but
I thought it's weird, kind of weird for a kids movie, but
it was very Seth MacFarlane-ish in its repetitiveness.
Okay, I'm just curious. Yeah, because that was one thing I was like, this is really weird that it's in this movie. She keeps kissing his biceps and stuff. I'm like,
I did like the close-ups on the biceps and how lifelike they appear. It's wow, that is some
animation,
good
Roger.
That is some good animation for the biceps. That's what I thought.
Dave's looking down at his own and going, "Yeah, it looks just like that."
I want to see this 8 times in the theater. Just look at my biceps.
Wait, Jeff, how did you know? Anyway, any other thoughts, guys, before we wrap it up?
I mentioned this briefly before, but this idea, guys, just the idea that Hiccup and Toothless have to live with this crazy, the fact that Toothless killed his dad, and this little character that we all love, and they're selling toys of him everywhere. That's mind-boggling. I can't even think of a Disney movie that would really try to do that with what's essentially a good character.
It would be like if Bambi 2 featured Bambi being friends with the hunter.
Right. I thought you were going to say the forest fire.
Oh, wait, which one
Bambi
kills her?
becomes an arsonist.
Did she get killed by a forest fire or the hunter?
Yeah, no, she gets killed by a forest fire.
Okay, yeah, being friends with a forest fire. Then I messed up that joke. My bad.
I think Devindra, I think you're right. I think that's a huge issue, and I think that's an issue that has to play out in 3. And also,
no. According to Wikipedia, there originally was a brief shot in the scene where Bambi's mother dies of her jumping over a log and getting shot by a man. Mm-hmm. However, they felt it was too dramatic and too emotional enough to justify having her death occur off screen.
Sure.
So,
Dave, did you Googled Bambi's death in the time of our conversation?
Yeah, I'm ninja, man.
Google food. What I'm saying is, I think
that's how he got all those biceps so big, man. Quick Googling.
That is some uber Googling. I think Toothless is the fact that he killed. I keep forgetting the dad's name. Is gonna play into it. But Stoic. Yeah. But also the fact that now he's the alpha of the dragons. And Dean DeBlois said something in the Q&A, Jeff, when we were there, that basically spoils How to Train Your Dragon 3. I wrote about it on the site with warnings. I'm not going to say it here. But if you think about those two things, Toothless as killer of Stoic and Toothless as the leader of the dragons, it sort of leads you to this ending that they've been working towards since the first movie. And it's kind of interesting, and you could sort of imagine what the third movie is going to be. and sounds so powerful. And I can't
Jermaine, you're like, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but here is a massive hint as to what it is.
Yeah, well, I didn't say exactly.
It was weird to see, by the way, like I guess it's to be expected that we assume, Toothless would become this sort of like, it's become sort of like the Uber Dragon. It's the leader of the dragons. But I do think at some point, we want to see the dragons actually start to think for themselves. Like, I do think that is the ultimate endpoint here. And just add another really interesting layer of like intellectualism to this series.
I still remember, like someone tweeted back when Avatar and How to Train Your Dragon came out 4 years ago, I guess it was, about how like they were really sad to see these movies advocate the subjugation of these beautiful creatures.
Right.
And no one speak for the dragons.
Exactly. And so
it is kind of. You could read certain things into that, right?
Yeah, it's hey, dude, if society is perfect. Everyone knows their place. The dragons are subjugated to the humans. It's amazing.
There's much more sheep abuse in this movie than anything else.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
By the way, did we think back in 2010 that we'd see a How to Train Your Dragon sequel before the Avatar sequels? The highest grossing movie ever made?
That is crazy. Although Avatar sequels are on the way, Devindra. So
I know, but it's like it's still several years from now, right?
It won't be till 16 is the first one. Yeah,
2016, guys. That's insane.
I
James Cameron, he's been known to take his time to make a movie.
Yeah,
I realize that,
and he can afford to take his time at this point. So
okay.
All right. Anyway. We all love the movie, and we all had a few issues with it, but overall, I'm looking forward. I hope that this movie makes enough money for a new one.
So do I, Jeff.
All right. Anyway, that's going to bring us to the end of this week's episode of the Filmcast. Stay tuned to hear what we'll be reviewing next week. In the meantime, you can find more of our episodes at /filmcast.com. Email us at /filmcast@gmail.com. Our theme song is from Adam Warrock at adamwarrock.com. And let us know, Jeff Kanata, where can you find more of your work on the internet this week?
At Jeff Kanata with 2 N's and 1 T on the Twitters, jeffkanata.com with the same structure. And if you're into video games, and the aforementioned E3 is covered wall-to-wall, daily 2-hour shows over at 5by5.tv/DLC.
If you thought that the Filmcast gave you too much of Jeff Kanata, you were wrong, because you haven't listened to the DLC podcast yet. So check those out. Devindra Hardwar?
Definitely get too much of me there.
You can find me on Twitter at Devindra, and I write about technology every day at venturebeat.com.
Germain?
You can find me at Germain Lucier on Twitter, and find my work on the /film.com.
All right. Find me on Twitter at Dave Chensky, that's Dave Chen, SKY. And find my video work at davechen.net, where I just recorded 1 second of video for every single day of my life for the last year. I actually wanted to mention that during our discussion of Boyhood.
It's going to be the next Boyhood, Dave, I'm sure.
Well, no, it's not. But
Manhood.
One of the pitches for that film that...
Shenhood. Sorry.
That's something else, Jeff.
One of the pitches that Cesar Kuriyama makes for his 1 second every day app is at the end of his 40, when he's 40 years old, he'll have a 1 hour video that can represent his an entire decade of his life, which
awesome.
I'm looking forward to. so yeah. And speaking of movies I'm making, I'll soon have a usable rough cut of the Kickstarter film I'm making with Stephen Tobolowsky. So I think Devindra's already viewed an ultra rough cut, and Jermaine, I believe in your inbox you have a rough cut as well. Yes.
Yes, that will happen this week.
What am I, chopped liver?
No, you, Jeff. So basically, the way I'm doing this is people can only watch the movie for the first time once. So I'm like having like a tiered approach where I'll show like some people the movie, and then I'll make a bunch of edits based on their feedback, if they have any feedback that resonates with me, and then show other people the next round. Because once you've seen the edit, it's hard to internalize how it would appear, like how the new one would appear. You know what I mean?
Right.
So don't worry, Jeff. I'm saving the best for last.
It's okay, Dave. We are all your guinea pigs.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
He's just saying mine is the least valuable feedback.
Exactly. That's exactly correct. Anyway, stay tuned next week, guys. We'll be reviewing 22 Jump Street. That's 22 Jump Street, which made a ton of coin this weekend. So Look forward to our discussion on that film and other topics on the Slash Filmcast, the official podcast of slashfilm.com. We're out.
They watch the movies, flicks, tracks for the good, bad. It's the Slash Filmcast. For all the news and the movies coming out, 'cause you know that it's the thing worth talking about.